So we are with Brian Williams, who's the resident coordinator in Albania, has a long experience in peace building. And so we're very happy to welcome you, Brian, on building peace during the pandemic. What has been the impact on peace building efforts as a result of the health emergency, as a result of the economic slowdown in the Western Balkans?
Here in the Western Balkans, so much of the peace building effort is about building bridges. It's about building relationships. It's about trying to undo unhelpful stereotypes and, assumptions that people have. The project that we're supporting out of Albania is called the Regional Youth Cooperation Office. It is it's an initiative of the authorities all across the Western Balkans. But it requires, getting people together, and the borders are closed. We can't have face-to-face meetings anymore. So it's had a huge impact on our programs.
Mm-hmm. And so for the UN country team, what changes has it meant now to continue the peace building work in the context of the pandemic? Has it meant new working methods? Has it meant new programs, or is it a lot more about integration of peace building, reconciliation in what the country team is doing?
The first answer is that, of course, we've all tried to adapt our working methods. So the program that we have, which is the support to RYCO, this regional initiative, some of it can still go on. So, UNDP is doing some institution building support, helping them set up their administrative systems, helping them figure out how to do monitoring and evaluation. And some of this technical assistance, this training can be done online. But other activities are trickier. So UNICEF, for example, across the sub-region, they're trying to work with schools to develop and deepen a peace building curriculum that is integrated into the schools. And the feedback that they've gotten from the teachers and schools, their clients as it were, have said, we prefer to wait for a few months because we think this is such tricky material to teach. It's so sensitive that we want this to be in face-to-face meetings. Or even in RYCO, some of RYCO's core activities, a lot of their core activities are about student exchange across the sub-region, and the UN is accompanying them in those activities. Some of those activities they try to put online, but it's tricky. So we've managed to adopt a little bit. UNFPA, to give you one last example, has a youth peer-to-peer methodology, and they split their program this year into two parts. They did phase one online, which was some core training for youth about peace building. But the youth themselves said, for the second phase, when we really get into it and start applying what we've learned, let's wait for another month or two to see if we can't get back to face-to-face. Because we really think we'll make a lot more progress on face-to-face.
And so, in the very fractious context of the Balkans, the Secretary General has called for global ceasefire, has called for, fighting this new common enemy and put aside our differences. Where would you see, or who for you would be the most inspiring partner for the UN in this endeavor? Is it the youth groups? Is it an institution like RYCO? Where do you see, these champions for reconciliation, for peace in the region?
So definitely youth are a huge part of it. And one of the things that, we're working on is to say, or to help support youth in finding issues that are common across the sub-region. So how do you say, look, actually there's more in common in your challenges about the future, whether it's about environmental sustainability, environmental protection, whether it's about high quality education. I was at some number of events over the last couple of years in the sub-region, different countries, where the youth are all saying, we need the kind of education that will allow us to work anywhere in the world with top-notch qualifications that are recognized. So there needs to be more investment in education. That's a commonality across the sub-region, not a cause for difference. But if you don't do education right, then indeed it can drive, as you well know, animosity and conflict. So young people, education is a big one. But even COVID itself, fighting COVID successfully is going to require multilateral efforts. And, here too, the health systems across the sub-region should be saying, let's learn from each other, let's collaborate, let's make sure that we can still support safe trade, safe tourism. Tourism is a huge issue in the sub-region. The coastlines that Albania and Montenegro, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia are of interest to other folks across the sub-region. So figuring out how to manage the border successfully and so on. I mean, these are opportunities, let's say, for building bridges and for finding more reasons for people who at one point in time were in conflict to say, look, we've got a lot more in common. Let's work together to build a common successful future.
Thank you so much, Brian. Great to hear you, and congratulations to you and the whole team for the amazing work you're doing there. And thank you for speaking with us today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for reaching out, and thanks for your support.